Good afternoon and greetings, glitter goddesses. This is part something, I think 9 of the Baby's First Year album. I'm going to do the chipboard covers now, and I'm going to do an external spine out of craft colored craft text. Yes, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do an external craft text spine. Okay. So let me just explain when you do an external soft spine, then all you have to do is to know the measurement for your external decorative spine. You take the measurement of your structural spine and add 2¼ inches. So I have 13 gutters and my gutters are 1/4 inch. So let's do some math. All right, so 1/4 times 13 is 3¼ okay, and then I do plus 2¼ so 5½. All right, 5½. So let me just start writing stuff down. All right, so it's 5½. So this is the DS, that's the decorative spine, is 5½ by, now the length is so to get your chipboard cover, so the chipboard is you can add an inch to, you add an inch to this length and 1/2 inch to this length. So I know this book is 6½ by 8, so that makes the chipboard 7 by 9. See? And then the pattern paper, and then that means that this decorative spine is by 9, because it's whatever length the chipboard is, that's the length of the spine. And then for pattern paper for the chipboard, you just add 2 inches to both of these, so it's 9 by 11 on the outside, and then on the inside, it's the chipboard minus 1/8 off the width and 1/4 off the length. So 6 7/8 by 8 3/4 for the liners. All right. So that's it. That's all you have to do. That's all the math. All right. Now, so I'll just put this like right there so you can write it down while I start cutting stuff. All right. So let me pull. Oh no, Candy. That's too bad. You should yell at YouTube. I'm sure that'll get you somewhere. All right. Drink some water. All right. I can use 8½ by 11 chipboard because it's 7 by 9. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. All right, so that's my 2 pieces of 7 by 9 inch chipboard. So I need, this is the pattern paper I've chosen for the outside. Isn't it beautiful? So we're gonna go 9 by 11 for this. And then 6 7/8 and by 8 3/4 for this. All right, so now I just need to get the craft text for the decorative spine. Oh, here's a bolt in the corner. Let's see if I can get it out without breaking my back or chipping my nail. Oh, come here, come here. Okay, I did it. All right. So, all right, craft text. The score on craft text is running along the length of the bolt. So what you want to do is cut your piece so that my piece will be 9 by 5, like 9 by 5. So, I mean, you don't have to. Of course, you can do whatever you want, but if you cut it that way, then the decorative spine is even more flexible. Even more flexible. And flexible is good with the decorative spine. The more flexible the decorative spine is, the better. All right. Dun, dun, dun. Where do you get craft text from? The bolts. Well, I probably got the bolts from the distributor. Maybe Amazon has the bolts. I know Hobby Lobby sells the rolls, or they used to. The rolls are not, they're the same width as the bolts, but they're not as much wrapped around it. And I think Amazon at least used to sell the rolls. And then, what is it? CT Publishing is the company that makes it. So I think on their website they sell it too. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my lines for 1 inch for where I'm going to put my cover. And I'm going to draw these lines with pen because they don't show. So I'm going to draw the lines with pen so it's easier for me to see. So 1 inch in from either edge on the inside of your decorative spine. All right. CT Publishing, $19.95 for a roll pre-wash. Thank you, Ellen. All right, so these two pieces of liner, they don't get marked. So set them aside. Same with your chipboard. And then these, they get marked 1 inch in from one short side and 1 inch in from one long side. And again, if you mark on the underside, it's not going to show. So it's all good. All right, now let me talk to you just for a minute about Craft Text, liquid glue, and dry adhesive. So when you're making a sandwich of materials, so in this case, we're going to have paper, chipboard, paper, Craft Text, okay? So here's paper. Here's the chipboard, here's the paper, here's the Craft Text, okay? Any layer where you're going to introduce a liquid glue, all the layers underneath it either have to have liquid glue also, or they have to have a solid sheet of whatever adhesive you're using from edge to edge. So the Craft Text has to be liquid glue. So that's liquid glue right there. And that means that this one and this one either have to be liquid glue or they have to be a solid sheet of adhesive with no gaps. The reason why is if you put dry adhesive with gaps where there's no adhesive, the liquid glue will pull that paper towards itself and that'll cause ripples. All right, because it'll pull the paper away. So it'll pull this paper away from this chipboard. It'll pull them apart. And so that's how you get those humps. If you've ever wondered how sometimes why you get bubbles in your paper or humps in your paper, that's what causes that. Okay. So if you know you're going to use liquid glue, which I do know because that's the only way to adhere Craft Text, okay, it will not stick with dry adhesive. You must use a liquid glue. Then you need to make sure that under that liquid glue, it's going to be a solid sheet of adhesive. Or if it's not going to be a solid sheet of adhesive, you use a liquid glue. Okay, so let me show you a trick to how you're going to do that. I'm going to take 1/2 inch tape and I'm going to put this 1/2 inch tape around the edges of my paper. All right. All right, so next I'm going to take to my 2 inch tape, all right, and then I'm going to put it all the way around the edges. And what that's going to do is, because I bumped myself over 1/2 inch here, that means my tape is going to go 1/2 inch here and then 1.5 inches in. Since the craft text is only an inch, then I know that I have another 1/2 inch of adhesive that'll be holding down the paper. So I know I'm okay. All right, I know I'm okay. So you need to make sure that your adhesive extends in a solid sheet at least 1.5 inches from this line. And that way you have a 1/2 inch of adhesive holding the paper to the chipboard, and the glue that you use on the craft text cannot pull it up. Cannot pull it up, all right? So you don't have to cover the entire thing. All right, we don't have to cover the entire chipboard now, because I can leave that middle there because I know that the part of the chipboard where the paper could lift, I've addressed it. Now, if you wanted to, for added security, if you wanted to, you could do the middle, but you do not need to. This is enough. This is enough adhesive. All right. Does that make sense? So the rule of thumb is every layer under liquid glue has to be wall to wall attached wherever liquid glue is going to be. All right. Whether you do that by using liquid glue to stick the chipboard to the book or whether you use this method, it does not matter. You just have to make sure that it's wall to wall attached. So this is one of those tips that saves you a lot of headache. So you're not looking at your cover going, why is there a bubble here? Why did it lift here? I don't understand. You know, and this applies to anything where you're going to use liquid glue. All right, so say for example you wanted to put flowers on this cover and you were going to stick those flowers down with liquid glue. You would need to make sure anywhere you were going to put flowers had adhesive underneath it to hold the paper to the chipboard. Otherwise, the liquid glue will pull the paper away from the chipboard. All right. So those two are taped. The chipboard doesn't get taped, so now we're going to tape these. And for these, I like to use the 1-inch tape. You know what? I'm going to use 2-inch tape. Why not? I'm going to go over the edges on these corners as well, and then trim them down because I don't want any lift. Any lift. No lift on these. You know, this is structural. So anything structural, you want to make sure you really do a good job with taping. This is one of those, a stitch in time saves 9, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, etc., etc. The better you do these parts of your book, the stronger it'll be. And you want your book to be as strong as possible, of course. Of course. Alrighty. So here we go. Now we're going to trim. And then these two I'll ink. They're the only two I will ink. And of course we're going to burnish everything as well. But you can see it's not a complex process to make the chipboard covers. Not really. All right, now I'm going to get my perfect trim tool that has the non-skid backing, and that's what I'm going to use to put everything together. I'm going to ink these first or else I'll forget, and that will annoy me. All right. So back to these. All right. So burnish, 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 burnish. Then peel all this tape. Inking the edges can, what it does is when you cut paper, the white core of the paper is exposed, and that makes the edges of, that can make the edges of paper look unfinished. And so by distressing the edge, it does two things. One, it covers up that white core, which helps the layers of the paper blend into each other a little bit better. But it also will cover up any mistakes. So like if you know, cut one side a little less even than another side, it's an optical illusion that will prevent anyone from really noticing that sort of thing. So it covers the white core to make the projects look more finished, but it can also cover any little mistakes that you might have made with cutting, or I might have made with cutting. All right, so with the perfect trim tool, I'm going to use 0.0625, which is, you know, this side that works for most standard craft chipboard. And you line the corner of the chipboard up with the corner of that side. Then you just cut straight across. All right, then I'm going to get my bone folder. And I don't see my normal bone folder, so I'm just going to use this thing. And the first step is I drag it along the underside of the chipboard so that I make sure I have a good attachment to this edge. So see how I've scored it now and that's nice and crisp there? Then the step 2 is I burnish it straight up against the edge of the chipboard so it's standing up straight. That way I know I have a good wrap. And then my third step is I bend towards the inside so I score it around now this bottom edge of the chipboard. And then once it's wrapped around, you can see how it's holding that curve. Then just flip it over and push it down. And then all you have to do is burnish it flat. Then you have two little flaps here that you want to fold in. So I just hold my bone folder against the side I just wrapped and rock in. Rock in. So rock in. All right. So, and then you just do that on all sides. Hello, Jill. And that's it. Just like that is covered. Just like that. Amazing. All right, so what do we do now? Now we grab our leather. Our piece is going to simulate leather. Oh, I don't love it. Maybe I need gray. I'm going to have to call Mr. Lifeguard. Yeah, I don't have the gray craft text up here. Blurg. I have the dark brown though. Let me hold the dark brown up. I think we can do the dark brown. It's cool enough. That way I don't have to go looking for the gray. All right. All right. For our purposes, it does not matter if the craft text is pre-washed or not. You only need it to be pre-washed if you can make clothes out of craft text. So you need it pre-washed if you're going to make clothes out of it because it's washable, but it will shrink in the wash. So that's for people who are sewing things that they intend to wash. And I don't think you are going to be washing your albums. But the pre-washed also does have a more distressed finish. So if you think you would like that better, then you may also want it for that reason. All right, so now I'm going to cover the craft text with glossy accents from the line to the edge. And then just set this down. And I'm going to wiggle it ever so slightly back and forth. until the craft text really starts to grab onto the paper. And then once the craft text starts to grab, I'll make my final adjustments and then put a bacon press on it. All right. Hey, my microphone died, so I'm going to switch to the camera's audio just for this last little bit since I'm almost done. So you should be able to hear me now. If you can hear me now, please let me know. It does appear like I'm broadcasting audio at this point. Okay, good. All right, yep. Yep, the battery died, so. Am I really loud? Should I turn it down? Is it too loud? Oh, okay, not too loud. All right. Alrighty. So solve that problem. And now I'm going to do the other cover. Is that a hamburger that I drew? No, it's a paper chipboard craft text sandwich where I was explaining how to use wet and dry adhesive without getting bubbles. It's a brilliant work of art, man. I have to be careful not to lean too far forward because I don't have my protective apron so you can see down my shirt. Alright, so once you've... Now everyone's talking about hamburgers and I want to eat hamburgers. What have you done? All right. So Just got to make sure that I get them, you know, which one's the front. And then I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to butt my ruler up against this one so that when I go to put this one down, I know they're lined up with each other. And all right. Now we have to let them just chill under their bacon presses for a while, for a minute or two. So I'll tidy up my desk while they do that. But the hard part of the construction is done now. Now the only thing really left to do is add the book, the guts of the book, to the piece. All right. So I'm just going to give this a couple minutes. Ideally, you'd let it go overnight is what I would recommend. Always recommend letting craft text really, you know, give it time. Because, you know, waiting to let it sit like this overnight, it only delays how long your book goes together by a little bit, but it makes it so much more strong. So much stronger. All right. I don't need this anymore. All right, so while that's drying, I was going to say while that's drying, I'll add the tape to the flaps, but we already did that because we're so good. We're so good. So we really don't have anything to do right now. So let's drink some water. Give it another minute and then we'll just get motoring. Oh yeah, I can show you the box. Let me go find it on Facebook. I'm going to look for it on their blog, okay? All right, so here it is. Okay, so the camera microphone does not work with the screen view. So it's the box is the Country Christmas December Daily, and you saw it on the screen just a minute ago. It's on the Simple Stories blog, and the entry is October 9th, 2019. So that's the box that I was looking for. Did you at least see it when I was on the display mode? I know you didn't have audio, but... Alright. But I screenshotted their Facebook post about it. So this is it. So like it's like a little stadium step, and she says it's a December daily. And I think it would totally work as a December daily. But, you know, we already made a December daily, so I was thinking more making something. But yeah, so when I originally saw this post, there were people asking for a tutorial in the comments, and, you know, Simple Stories did respond with something like, you know, the designer doesn't do tutorials. So, I don't know exactly how she did it, but I can show you how you would make something like this, is what I'm thinking we do something where you can see how to make it. So I'll just, you know, when I do the videos, I'll say it's inspired by Simple Stories and Tara Chose and from Secret Bee Studio, and go check her out, leave her a like. You know, I'll have her totally linked so you can go directly to the source and see the original images. And then I'll just show you how I would make something like this if I was making something like this. So it won't necessarily be how she did it, but you'll get the same vibes. So that's what I'm thinking about doing. So, because it's cute and I want to make it, and I want to make some Christmas stuff. But I don't think I'm going to have any time to make Christmas stuff on the normal Thursday show. All right, so now let's do this. Now, what we do is we take the book and we find the front cover, which is this. And then I'm going to stick this down. So I peel the tape from the flap. And then you center it top to bottom. And you center the flap on the... You know, when I said it's an inch, it was because it should be a half an inch. So all my measurements are wrong, and this cover is going to be gigantic. Oops. I'll go over the measurements again. Okay. Oh, here they are. Okay, so it should be 5.5 by 8.5. 6 3/4 by 8.5. 8 3/4 by 10.5. And 6 5/8 by 8 1/4. That's what they should all be. So just make those changes. This is why you should always watch all my videos. Watch my videos all the way through before you start, because you never know what mistake I might have made. I never know what mistake I might have made. All right, and then you stretch the other side to the back. It looks okay. I'm not going to worry about it. All right, and so then you just burnish here and burnish here. All right. And then, yeah, I like to make changes at the end. That's exactly right. It's surprise changes at the end. Got to keep you on your toes. Yeah, if you want me to look at my Christmas paper, I'll look at my Christmas paper. You guys just don't want to go back to work, is that it? All right, so then we put this down. Fran says, I haven't stopped working. Yeah, it's Friday. No one wants to work. Let's craft all day long. Burnish this really well. Alright, then put this one down next. Alright, and then hold this up and burnish really well. Really get the corners. And it's done. Dun, da, da, da. And look, we still have a V. Okay, so we still have a V, which means what? It can be stuffed. It can still be stuffed. So you still have the V. It can still be stuffed. So when you're done, but you don't have your photos in, you want it to look like this. You want it to look like wider at the spine, narrow at the front, and that means it's not gonna. If you finish and it looks like this, then you're gonna have problems. Then you're gonna. If you finish and it looks like this, you need to redo the spine. I mean, you just need to redo the spine. Yeah. And then I like to run my hand along the spine just to get the spine sort of flattened out. But look how cute this baby book is. Of course, my favorite thing about the way that I do spines is that they look like hardback books from the bookstore. And they lay flat. So the pages, as you turn them, the pages are flat. You know, they're not poking up like this. So look at this cute little baby book. Yay! Look at it. You would like to get a baby book like this. If you were a baby, you would not care. You would be like, I just need a boob and a blanket and I'm good. But, you know, if you were a baby's mom, yeah, number 4, just love beyond measure. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a recording break, and well, no. Let's see. Maybe there's a card we can put. On the front cover or something. Not really. My goodness. No, I think I'm just going to leave it plain. That way it can go on a shelf. Yes, if you want to use embellishments and not only put flat things in it, you should do a wider gutter. Yes. Yep, yep, yep. Even just bumping the gutter up from 1/4 inch to 3/8 would be enough. Yeah, we can't really get a card on the front, so I'm not too worried about it. But what I could do is put something right here. So we've got that. I think we're probably going to go with this one. Yeah. There's a birth weight card. I'm kind of thinking about this little duck. Did I not print the birth weight card? That is entire. Yeah, maybe I did. Oh, I didn't print this. You know, I bought it in the paper pack, so. Would a 1/2 inch be unstable? It wouldn't be unstable, but it would be really big. So if you did 12 pages like this. So, because like my spine was 2 1/4 inches. My spine's 2 1/4 inches. Right? No. My spine is 3 1/4 inches. So if you did 12 pages and you did a 1/2 inch spine, it would be 6 1/2 inches. So the book would be like this thick. So yeah, I would think you should cut pages. Yeah, the reason I haven't committed to this one is because I think it does have first baby vibes, and this is not the first baby. So I could do something like this, you know, and just write a dedication. But I could also do something like this, you know. The heart is cute. Alright, this one is cute. I don't like the dingy. It's dingy though. And next to the white, it looks dirty. So that's what I don't like about it. I'm going to go with this one. And I'm just gonna leave it. Let's see. I'll sign it. Because the baby, you know, should know that it knows a famous person. All right, so I'm going to, now it could be a pocket for the first picture. It could also just be a photo mat, you know, with a sign above it that says welcome baby, with like just, you know, it can be anything you want, but yeah, you could make it a pocket to hold a newborn photo. But just gonna do simple. Just gonna do simple. You could also add, like I mentioned earlier in the show, you could add an additional page in the front for the newborn stuff. So it actually would have 13 pages instead of 12, which is another good way to go. So instead of starting with month 1, you would just have, you know, it would basically just be the welcome baby, you know, and then the second page would be 1, and so on. And then you would just adjust your measurements based on that. And if baby has, oh, you could put the birth announcement there. Yes, that's another good idea. That's another, you could just put the birth announcement right there, and that has all the info on it. Yep. All right. There we go. So I'm going to call this book done. So that is it for this one for tutorials. I'm going to do one more video. I'm going to do a flip through, a final review. So I'll be right back.